My name is Mark Newbill, and I live in West Tennessee. How many people are here today for the very first time? Thank y'all for all coming out to the symposium. I'd like to recognize a few of my friends that came out. Some of them came from a very long way. We have Mark Henderson over here. We have Dan Rickey. Dan is a talent in this community. How many have heard of Night Callers? Do y'all listen to the Night Caller show?
Yeah.
It's a fantastic show. Lori and Lauren, would y'all stand up, please? Lauren, who's your favorite research partner?
Mark Newbill.
I'm just surprised at what you picked for that. Mark,
We have.
how much did you have to pay for that?
I'm wiped out. We have Kain Michael from Ohio. He is Eric's full-time research partner. And
he's a full-time pain in the butt.
we have Slade Monk and Donna Holman. All the way from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Roll Tide! We love Slade and Donna Holman. I'd like to introduce Eric Tipton to y'all.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for everybody coming out. My name is Larry Tipton. I'm from Ohio. That's where I do all my research with Kain Michael. What got me started in this years ago is from what I saw, and then working with Kain all these years in construction. Construction jobs, they go from a year to a year and a half, and we carpool a lot and get to talking and find out you got the same interests and stuff, and this was one of them. So what I saw years ago, though, I never told anybody about it except for my old man, and he kind of ran me through the gamut, you know, and asked me about the night and what it looked like and this and that, and I told him, and he said, well, you say you saw what you saw. He said, I believe you. He said, but you're the one that's going to have to deal with it. So I tucked it away, and I hid it until Mike and I were driving to work one day, and I finally decided to tell him, figuring I was going to get hammered with some jokes and this and that, and I didn't. He just kind of shook his head and went, okay, let's go get it. So that's what started everything for us years ago, and we've been doing it ever since. It's been a great road. Met a lot of beautiful people throughout it. Seen some of the most gorgeous country anybody will ever see, just because of what we do and how we do it. You know, we see things that most people will never see because they're on a hiking trail. So, but that's what we do. That's what we research in Ohio. So if you guys are ever up, give us a holler and we'll go out and we'll hunt it down with you. So.
I would like to talk about a little bit about pursuing Bigfoot. Some of the obstacles that researchers face are not mountains or rivers or terrain. It's Facebook. trouble with Facebook research is plain and simple. It's social media. You are not going to be able to learn anything off social media. You have to learn it in the woods. Opinions. Facebook is saturated with all kinds of Bigfoot opinions. And y'all know what they say about opinions. Everybody got one. Egos. When I said that word, I bet somebody's face popped in your head. There's all kinds of egos that are on Facebook. Feelings.
Hey, that offended me.
Well, Paul, somebody gonna get butt hurt. There's no way to fact check. I have people that will contact me and send me a picture or whatever and ask my opinion of it. But unless you're actually out there in the woods and actually seeing it with your own eyes, it's hard to tell. We have seen some pretty convincing stuff and taking pictures, and you look at the picture and it's like, this is not what I saw. And normally the people that I surround myself with, we will go asking questions. We will ask each other questions, and those answers will provoke other questions. We try to get everybody's input. We want to look at it at every type of angle that we can look at. But you go asking people questions after they've sent you something, and all of a sudden they get defensive. They think that you're questioning their integrity or their intelligence, and we're not. We're trying to get as much data as possible so that we can help them maybe answer some of their questions. But when you start asking these questions, there goes that meter again. Somebody done got butt hurt. You will never actually know. To know unless you are seeing it for yourself. You have to get out in the woods. You have to put boots on the ground. Bigfoot groups themselves can be their worst enemy. The trouble with Bigfoot groups is my group is better than your group ideology. And I would like to give an example. Randy Savick and Bernie Wall are research partners. They were out together. And I may not remember the story right, but one of them heard something and the other one didn't. And that provoked Randy to ask the question, how far does sound travel? And so the MABRC put together an experiment, and it was called the Silent Hills Project. And what we did was we got out, with decibel meters, and then using the naked ear, and to be able to see how far the audio of a wood knot or a vocalization would carry. And the results of this was astonishing. It blew everybody's mind. We did it in the summertime and we did it in the wintertime to see what the differences was. And I filmed it and put it up on my Sawdustt BEAST channel. And I may be wrong, but I don't recall any other groups that responded to this experiment. And it is just an amazing tool to be able to use when you're in the woods. Pack mentality. A lot of times what we see is somebody in the group will decide something and they can become like ferocious wolves, and they just want to go after and target and attack someone. Or you'll see the herd mentality, where whatever one does, everybody else will just follow. And that's not healthy for any group or for the Bigfoot community. You are also limited to the confines of one organization. If you are able to step out and meet other researchers that you have things in common with, you will be surprised at how well that you can mesh with other people, you can learn from them, and they can learn from you. Advantages when researchers collaborate, or we can share knowledge and we can compare notes. Let me give you an example, the opposite example of this. In the Bigfoot Outlaws, we had one of Steven Spielberg's producers fly out from LA to go out with us. And we invited some other guests. And we were in a vehicle, and somebody asked the question. I don't even remember what the question was, but nobody said anything. And I'm a pretty humble person. And so I kind of gave my humble opinion, why I based my theory on this, and explained why I felt this way. Because of the experience and knowledge that has came to me from being in the woods. And just as soon as I got through explaining that, this other person in the vehicle said, "Nope, you're wrong. That's not it at all." And then he went off into a long spiel. I don't understand why we have to be ugly. I don't like ugly. There are no experts in this field. There's absolutely zero experts. But there is knowledge and there is experience. But we don't need to, if we feel like every time that I go out in the woods, I think I did the filtering for Debbie Jones. And, I thought I knew a little bit about Bigfoot. But when I heard that samurai chatter, that just blew my mind. It blew my mind. And now I gotta go back to zero and start over again. Because things that I thought, apparently I was wrong about. When you're evaluating evidence, I can assure you, more heads are better than one. You have people looking at it with different angles and asking questions that maybe that you have not thought to ask. And so it is always important. I like to surround myself with these kind of people that ask questions that are not judgmental and that are searching for answers the way that I am. We gain strength from other people's talents. Randy Savage is excellent in audio. If I have something that just blows my mind and I can't figure it out, that's my go-to man. It would be unwise for me to have questions and be ashamed to say, I don't know. But I know somebody that might has ran into this. And so I like to surround myself with those kind of people. I'm going to let Eric talk a little bit about our strategy whenever we go out in the woods. And Eric, what does Alice say?
Welcome to my nightmare.
I feel like you belong, don't you, Eric?
Belong somewhere. So, a couple of things that when Kain and I first decided to do this, we knew we needed to learn three things. We needed to know three things. We needed to know how to find a trackway. We needed to know how to identify travel patterns. And we needed to know the terrain, the area that we were going into. So that's what we really dove into first. Before we actually even went out, we started researching the areas, learning the areas. We picked like 4 or 5 spots that we found interesting in Ohio. And we started learning topos, started learning how to read topos, how to learn how to read the terrain in the areas that we're going to go to. Wildlife in the area. What's the wildlife in the area? What's the vegetation in the area? What's the water source in the area? What's the seasons? In Ohio, we know the seasons. What does each season hold? What kind of weather does it hold? These are things that we needed to identify first before we went out. We didn't want to just go out and just wander the woods, which we do. But this was one of the first things we needed to learn before going out. And then identifying the trackway, what to look for. Everything that walks this rock that we're on leaves a sign. Everything. Whether it's an impression in the ground or something else, they leave signs behind them. We needed to find these things. Walking out into the woods to find a bend, bow, break, X, structure, whatever, wasn't enough. We needed to identify, if we walk into the woods and we find a bow, okay, there's a bow. Well, how do you get from A to B? You need to be able to identify their trackway. Just because you find a bow, a twist, a break, whatever, does not mean that you are on a trackway. Because you could be walking this way and find it, and they could be going this way, and you'll never find B from A. So this took a very, very, very long time for us to do. It took us 5 years. 5 years to identify what they leave behind. And this wasn't just impressions in the ground. Not every terrain is going to leave an impression in the ground. Just the little things to look for, the little signs to look for. And this took us, like I said, this took us 5 years to identify this. Once we did, we were able to identify their trackway. We got on this trackway. One of the areas that we research in Ohio, we got on this trackway and we started following. The next thing we needed to do was to learn travel pattern. How do they travel? Do they just go and that's it? Do they go and come? Do they go in a circular? How do they travel? Your equipment that you use is very important. This is your audio. You get on the trackway. This is a very small portion of a trackway. I mean, we're talking, Michael and I, in the years that we've done this, we have traveled 3,000. We've hiked 3,000 miles. And the years that we've been doing this. Where we research at, we were on a very small portion of their trackway. So we started setting out audio at different points on this trackway. You set your audio out, and you wait, and you wait, and you listen, and then finally something. Maybe a pop, maybe a sound that does not identify with any other known animal in that area, but you got it. Now you have time and you have data. So then you go and you set it back out, and you wait, and you wait, and you listen, and you listen. This is a very long time. This is a long process. And then boom, it happens again. Now once again you have time, you have date. Now you establish this, you put this together. For us, in our area, this was actually a month to almost a day. And we found, putting this audio out in different locations, that they were traveling in a circular motion, counterclockwise. And it would take them a month to get back to this particular area. So then we had that. Now we had trackway, and we established travel pattern. So then the next step for us was to, okay, how do we get ahead of them? We have time and date, but how do we get up in front of them? This was the hard part for us. So we would go in, we would go into certain areas of the area that we were researching, and no sooner than we would get in, you would get the pop and we'd get a knock, we'd get chatter, we'd get vocal, we'd get rock tosses, we'd get things being played, but we couldn't go in as far as we wanted to. So how could we establish this? How could we get in front of it to do this? And this was very hard for us. This part of it took us about 3 years. Now, what I do want to say is be very, very, very careful out in Neverland, Facebook, divulging too much information about an area that you are researching. Kain and I did this, and we shared this with a lot of people. And the next thing we knew, we literally had people following us around this area. We would literally have to park a mile away and hike, and then hike in, just so they wouldn't know we were there. But they found this area. They went in, they took things down, they replaced things with their own, and it pushed them out. So we had a total of almost 8 years of research gone. In a blink of an eye, these creatures will change everything they do. Everything will be gone. And we had to start over. Now, what we did have, though, up to that point, though, was we still had trackway and travel pattern. And we could identify this. So then we were still at that point, though, of being able to get in front of them so we could document them. But also at this point, Kain started talking to me and said, you know what, we can establish trackway and we can establish travel pattern. We need to get out of our area. We need to make sure we can do this somewhere else. 5 different states we went to, from the Adirondacks, Alabama, all over the place. We took what we learned, and we went to 5 different states with it. Without stepping foot into those states, we started looking at our maps, started doing our research at the areas before we even went. We went to these areas, we found trackway. We established travel patterns. We got interaction. So then Kain comes to me. I'm a very closed book, more so than Kain. Kain came to me and he said, this isn't enough. We need to be able to show people that we can do this, that this is possible. You don't have to plug one and drag his body out of the woods to prove they exist. We can do this. So we invited Mark, Larry, Cheryl Corncastle out to one of our areas. And we wanted to show them that we could track, we could establish travel patterns, and we can get in front of them. And we did it, and we showed them that we could do it. And they'd also been with us in other states as well, where this is taking place. But we needed to show people that this can be done. And that's what we did. So, as far as I know, we're the only ones that are tracking these creatures, can track these creatures, can establish travel patterns, and we've shown others that we can do it. So then you go into, though, with all that said, being a skeptic, ruling out. You have to be your own biggest skeptic. You have to rule everything out. When we walk into the woods that Bigfoot do not exist. Bottom line. When we see a bow, we're there to rule it out. We're not there to stamp Bigfoot on it, throw it out on Facebook and call it Bigfoot. We're there to rule it out first. So then you start looking at how do you rule out. The biggest thing for us was Mother Nature. Mother Nature does some weird stuff. So I dove into wind. I dove into what would wind actually do to a tree. So I did a stint of 6 to 8 months of research on wind and wind damage to trees. 3 inches around at the base, 20 foot tall, ½ inch around the top, 30-mile-an-hour winds will sway that tree. Just sway and break twigs, not branches, twigs. 42-mile-an-hour winds is considered gale force. Gale force, sustainable. Sustainable meaning constant, not a gust. A 42-mile-an-hour wind and up will uproot trees, will break trees, will bend trees. Those trees will not stay bent. Most likely those trees will snap and bust and break before they bend. But the ones that do bend come back. So what else do you have? You have snow load, you have ice load. In Ohio, we have all this. So now you're talking a wind over 42 miles an hour, bending a tree over, throwing snow on top of it, ice to keep it there. Snow and ice is going to melt. Here's the catch of that. Every single bow that Kain and I investigate and look at and have put Bigfoot on it has something holding it down. 9 times out of 10 on top of that, what's holding it down is a trunk of another tree that is rotting, dead, meaning it's been laying there for a very, very long time. Yet the tree that's bowed and pinned is alive and well. So, did Bigfoot do it? We don't know. We weren't there. Could Mother Nature have done it? I guess. But when you take this, and you take this to multiple areas and multiple states, you have a theory. You have a strong theory. That's what it's about. It's about collecting data. It's about theories. It's about putting theories to the test in other areas. And that's what we do. We put it to the test, we take it out of our area, we take it to other locations. That's how you build a strong base theory. That's how some facts are built, is off theory. So that's what we do. That's the research, and that's how deep we go into our research when we do this. It's not just stamping something and throwing it out there. You can't do that. It's not enough. Not enough for me. not enough for Kain, not enough for these guys that were involved. Another thing that we do, we bushwhack. We don't trail hike. We bushwhack in, meaning we go into areas that nobody wants to go to. We go through some of the nastiest, gross stuff that you could even think of. You can find things. You can find things close to campgrounds, roads, whatever. You can find these things. Can you rule out human? No. The reason we go in as deep as we go in is to rule out human activity in the area and human manipulation. That's why we go to the areas we go to. That's why we hike as far as we hike. Nobody wants to go to these spots. I'm a deer hunter. I damn sure am not dragging a deer from the locations that we go to. I'm not going to do it. So that's why we go in as deep as we go in. Once you go into these areas and you find something like this, if you find a bow or a break, it's very easy to rule out human activity or human manipulation. Then you go into Mother Nature. You look at the area around it. You could be standing in a grove the size of this room, and all the trees are the same size, and one tree in the middle of this grove is bent and bent. Did Mother Nature do it? Possibly, but I'm a betting man, so I'll put my money on something else. These are things that that really, spark us in going in as deep as we go in. These are things that we know once we collect all the data in it and we put it all together and we share it with other guys in our little circle, and they put their stamp on it, and then we share it. We don't just throw it out there and call it Bigfoot, and that's that. That's, like I said, that's just not enough for us. So establishing though, like I said, their point A to point B, that is the most important thing you need to figure out. Like I said, it took us 5 years to do. Maybe a little hard hitting or whatever, but they leave signs much smaller than your X's and your bows and your twists, and I'm not going to give that to you because it took us 5 years to figure it out. So that's where we are with that. But with that said, though, that's why we brought others in to show them that we can do it. And it's worked for us. So now we're at the point now. We're at the point now to where are we going next? Where are we going with our research next? And like I said, it's being able to get in front of them, and it's being able to set up in front of them. We know the trackway, we know the travel pattern. They know you're there. As far as in as we go, and how we bushwhack in, they know we're there, and they toy with us. So how do we get in front of them? Be able to post up, be able to document them as they're coming through. Now, when I say get in front of them, I'm talking we know for a fact. We know we are a day to 2 days ahead of them. We know this because we're here and they're here, and we have all this documented. We have it timed and dated that they're here right now, and we're here right now. But yet, when they get here, they don't come through. They come in, but they don't come through. Why? How? How is this possible? How do they know? This is where we're at. This is where we're at with our research. It can be done. I believe that in my heart that it can be done. We can do this. Like I said, we can do it without plugging one and dragging their body out. It's gonna take a very, very long time to do it, but we can do it. Don't believe everything you see, as Mark was saying on Facebook. I mean, it's good to have groups out there, and you know, there are some good people in those groups that do go out and do research. You have to be able to decipher between all the garbage and all the junk on Facebook and lock into those people that are actually going out and doing this. And sometimes it's very hard, you know, in some of these groups. But there are some good people out there that can show you and divulge information to you and give you points. What we do is what we do. I'm not saying it's the right way. I'm not saying it's the wrong way. It's mine and Kain's way of doing it. Everybody else does it their own way. This is just how Kain and I do it, and this is how we've been able to get a lot of data collected, is doing it our way. We wanted to make sure that we didn't have any type of manipulation of ourselves in our mind from other people. This is how this is done, this is how this is done. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to do it our way. We wanted to figure it out our way. We wanted to make mistakes our way, and we made a lot of mistakes. A lot of mistakes. I'm talking like, oh wow, the camera's been out for a month, no batteries. That's great, you know. It happens. You know, the SD card, you know, locked. You know, so yeah, you go back and it's nothing's there. You're like, really? You know, so it happens. There's mistakes made, you know. Some of the stories that we have, and doing this and bushwhacking like we do, the encounters that Kain and I have witnessed with this, and we've been parallel, we've been triangulated, we've been pushed out of areas, we've been in situations where we didn't know. After the fact, we didn't really know what their intent was for us. We had one behind us, one on each side of us, and they were pushing us. And this is actually filmed through our GoPros, and we were being pushed to a certain area, and we stopped. Every time we'd go to move, the knocks would get a little lighter. The brakes, actual brakes, would stop, but the knocks would get a little lighter. And once we'd stop, though, and we'd start talking, they'd get more aggressive with us. They'd vocalize to us. You'd hear the growls. You'd hear the bashing, you know. We'd start moving. It'd calm down a little bit. But we realized where we were being pushed to was a heavy, thicketed area. And I told Kain, I said, I'm not going in there. We go in there, you lose line of sight. I'm not going to lose line of sight. So we had really one option, and it really wasn't an option. It was to drop down into a gully and then go back up to the side that one was on. You drop down, they had the high ground right off the rib, and they were really stuck. So that's the decision we made. So we're standing in front of this huge thicket area. We make a hard left. We go to drop down. The next thing you know, Dad's voice comes from the thickets. Heavy, deep growl. What was their intent? Was their intent just to push us out of the area, just to get us away? Or was their intent to push us to Alpha? And that would have been that. You have to understand that these are creatures, these are animals. They're very curious animals because of all the encounters that a lot of people have had coming in, doing little rock tosses, loops, this and that, in camp or bushwhacking in. But make no mistake, these are creatures and they're wild. And when they're done playing with you, they're done playing with you. So when you go in, as far as we go in, you have to have that mindset that if something happens, if everything goes south on you, you're probably not going to come out. Because the way that we go and what we do, you're not running to the car. Bottom line. You're not picking up a cell phone and calling for help. It's not going to happen. So you have to literally, that's no game that's not out everybody blowing up your butt. You have to have that mindset to know that if you're deciding to do this, that if something does happen, most likely you're not going to see your family. That's the truth, bottom line. Does that stop us? No, because we still want to know. We understand that it's an animal. We understand that it's a creature. We know the situations that we've been put in, but we've never had harm, though, come to us because we know our limitations as well. We know what it means to walk away and not to keep pushing. In our area, they play with us. They'll give us little whoops and little chatters. They'll throw little rocks at us. We're able to go in farther and farther and farther each time. And when I say each time, I'm talking months, of going to this point, and that's it. And then they're done with you, and you leave. And then going to this point and this point. Now we're so deep in, we get the same thing. But when Dad says it's enough, it's enough. And when Dad says it's enough, because he does some pretty crazy stuff. But we know that's our limitation. That's enough for them. It's time to go. So understand, follow your gut. You do have a gut instinct, and it's never wrong. So be aware of that when you do this. I love doing this. I love finding information out. This is the research, though, like I said, that we do. We want to know why. Bottom line, plain and simple, we want to know why. That's it. We want to figure out why. If these creatures are doing the bows, the bends, the twists, whatever, we want to know why. We need to document that. We need to document them in their natural state. That's the why. Anybody can stand up here and speak very matter of fact of this is a nest, or this is this, or this is this. They don't know that. They don't know. That's their opinion. That's their thought. It's not a fact. Okay? We need facts. Fact is from the why. Why did they do this? Fact is from trackway, travel pattern, area, getting in, documenting. That's the why. That's what we do. That's what drives us. We see a ridge, we want to know what's on top of that ridge. We get to the top of that ridge, we want to know what's on the other side of the mountain. We get to the other side, we want to know what's on the other side of that mountain. We kill some people when they go out with us. They don't realize, the kind of tracking that Kain and I do, and then with Mark and Larry as well, a lot of guys don't get it, do they? They don't get it. So, but it's a joy for us. We really enjoy doing it. I love meeting new people, hearing the stories, and encounters. But I do know from what we have done, what we have learned, that we can go anywhere in the United States into an active area or an area that's thought to be active, and we can find them. We can be put on a trackway, we can follow that trackway, and we can get interaction. We know this, we've done it. But that's what we do. That's what we enjoy doing. Some of the other things that I'm basing theories on, you got this box, Mark talks about the box. You have a theory, but you don't really have a lot to go on. You put it in your box, tuck it away. It'll come back. You'll be somewhere, and so you'll see something, and you'll go, hey, wait a minute. And you pull that out of the box, go, right there it is. Twist brakes. Start looking at twist brakes. Now wind, cyclonic wind. They'll twist trees and snap them, But then but then again, going back, you look at the area around that twist brake, that tree. Nothing else is touched. So I started looking at these twist brakes. Some were twisting clockwise, some were twisting counterclockwise. So I'm like, so I go to my buddies on the job site for like a month, and I'm like, here, break this. They're like, what? I'm like, break it, you know? So they break it. So use your other hand to break it. Natural. Grab something, you break it. Natural instinct, twist your wrist when you break it. Grab it, twist, you snap it. So I started looking at this. Went to even family, grabbed my boys. I got 4 boys. I grabbed my boys like breaking this. They're snappers, you know. I did it to cousins and everybody. It's natural, twist and break. What's it mean? Does it mean if it's counterclockwise, it's predominantly right-handed? Clockwise is predominantly left? I don't know. It's a theory I'm working on. It's a theory that I have. It's a theory that's in my box. And that's something that I've been looking at. This is after ruling everything else out though. Human manipulation, wind, Mother Nature, whatever. When we stamp something that this is something other than human or Mother Nature, then I start building a theory off of it. That's the only time I start building a theory off something, when everything else is ruled out. So that's one of the things that I've been looking at here for quite some time. There's a lot of things that Kain and I do, you know, when it comes to research, when it comes to data, collecting data, impressions in the ground, you know, prints in the ground. Ohio, the great thing about Ohio, with the exception of some rogue black bears that we have in southern Ohio, and we do have, there is a rogue black bear in Saltport, one of the areas we go to. The largest game we have in Ohio is white-tailed deer. It's the largest game we have. And we're proud of our monster bucks, let me tell you. So, a black bear, northern black bear, 5 foot tall, from the ground to the top of his head. Standing up, I'm 6'1", black bear on his hind legs, 6'5" to maybe 7 foot, 300 pounds. Standing upright, side to side, 28 to 32 inches wide. What I saw 2 years ago, Kain and I estimated it being anywhere between 8.5 to 10 foot tall. Tip to tip, shoulder tip to shoulder tip, 48 to 50 inches. Not soon after I seen him, and I lost line of sight of him, and he left. Kain went out where he was standing, and there was a print, which is now casted in my curio cabinet. 18 inches long, 8.5 inches wide. This was no crap for him. That whole day up to this point was interaction. Having everything done, rock tossing, tree breaks, everything up to this point. What changed this day was normally we parked the truck, we jump out, we head in. This day we were dropped off, we went in, we came back out, we didn't jump in the truck and leave. We came back out, we dropped back down on the road, we walked the road to a bridge, a little bridge that had a channel running underneath it. And we're sitting on this bridge waiting for a ride. Kain's got his back towards me, he's sitting on the guardrail, I'm standing there, we're talking back and forth. I just kind of glance over the channel into the marsh. As soon as I look up, there he is. And he's actually doing this, and he's got a tree branch, and he moves the tree branch like this, and he stands up, and he locks eyes with me. And I'll tell you what, you want to talk about a bodybuilder being embarrassed, this boy, man. Yeah, buddy. He comes straight up, he reared back, and showed me everything he had. His head went back, his eyes grew, and we just locked eyes. And then he just kind of stepped, and he was gone. So, but he had that old crap look, like I just screwed up, you know, because he lost us. He thought we were gone, and he was crossing over. We took that cast. The week later, we took the cast that we had. We walked the marsh. We found his trackway through the marsh, and in the marsh was an impression. The cast that I have sat perfectly in that impression in the ground. So we knew that he was following us out. He was up on the ridge line. We were down low on the first base of the ridge, he paralleled us out, and then he dropped down, went across the road into the marsh, and walked around the channel. He thought we were gone. So I was very fortunate. That was validation for me from what I saw so many years ago. Everything that Kain and I have done up to this point, and then to have this broad daylight sighting was complete validation for me. And I'll tell you, it's a mind trip. If you've never seen one before, and you lay eyes on it, it's a mind trip. Your mind will go through a meltdown. It will go through a processing. You're taught at a very, very young age of how to identify things. You know, this is a microphone, that's a chair, that's a tree. You're taught these things at a very young age. So when you see something like this, your brain goes through a meltdown, and it's collecting everything it possibly can to make sense of what it is that you're looking at. And I had all this stuff going through my mind, and you don't know how to react to it. I literally could have just fallen down into a fetal position and cried like a baby, to be totally honest with you. I had so many emotions running through my body at the time. I didn't know what to do. I honestly did not know what to do. But it was total validation for me that all the work that Kain and I had put in and what I'd seen so many years ago was standing right there in front of me. And that was about a 6 to 7 month depression that followed because I didn't know what to do with it. Even though we were researching and we were finding out information about Bigfoot, I didn't know what to do with what I just seen. And I went through a depression, a 7-month depression that Kain had to wipe my butt every day over. So, it's a way of life. What we do, it's changed my life tremendously. You know, I need answers. You know, just taking a picture of a bow or a break or an X, man, and walking away from it isn't enough. That's not enough. We have to have more. We have to know, is this what they do? Is this what they do, or why do they do it? If we document one of making a bow or putting up an X structure and leaving it, then we need to be there to watch the next one come through and see how or what he does with it, how he interacts with that structure that was made, or that bow that was made, or that X that was made. We need these things. This is what research is. This is the true definition of research. This is what it takes when you call yourself a researcher. These are the information. This is the information that we need. So, but I just want to thank you guys for being here. I enjoy it. Like I said, I love talking to people. I love sharing information with people, hearing stories. So, once again, thank you very much.
We have one last thing to share with y'all. And about 2 years ago, Bear from the Outlaws came to me and he asked me, he goes, look, I want to start picking states and finding people that actually want to learn how to research and train them. And we got a group of Mississippians together and we had a camp out. Well, Larry Porch and I do things different. We did not stay in the campground with everybody. We went away from the campground. We got on one side of the road. I got on the other side. We were about 100 yards apart from each other. And we slept in hammocks. Well, we didn't know that one of the guys there that was at that camp out was a filmmaker. And it just blew this guy's mind. And he just steeped on that. And his name is Cam Buckner. And if that name sounds familiar, he has a very good, if you love Bigfoot stories, it's called Dixie Cryptid. And he just, people send him stories and he tells the stories. And so he contacted me and wanted to know if I'd be interested in doing a film with him. And I told him that I would under certain conditions. And one request. And those conditions were that only one cameraman would go into the woods with us. This is not like these TV shows where they go in with a 15-member crew. We wanted one cameraman. The second condition was nothing would be staged. We would not be directed. We would not be told what to do. And the third thing was that the cameraman would be a fly on the wall. He could film anything we did in there. But like I said, he would not be able to stage something for a dramatic effect. And my request was, could Larry and I include Eric, Tipton, and Kain Michael into this? And he wanted us to have the premiere for the trailer for this documentary here at the MABRC Bigfoot Symposium. And so we're going to show you this short clip of the trailer. If you're interested in seeing the premiere on his channel, it will be Wednesday night. There, CW, the sound's not playing.
Oh, I turned it down a while ago, sorry.
Okay, next.
Narrowing down all these thousand acres, narrowing down of activity.
One other animal that science recognizes that makes this type of vocalization. So, what is it?
You have to have that mindset that something breaks down, something goes wrong,
if all hell breaks loose, you're not leaving. Bottom line, plain and simple, you're not coming out of the woods.
Well, it looks like the video wouldn't keep it up with the audio, but, yeah. So, but this Wednesday on Dixie Cryptid, he is going to be playing the premiere for it, and we invite y'all to watch it. It's very dark and mysterious about what happened to us out there, and it's authentic stuff of what happened in the woods. Thank y'all for y'all's time today.